Okay, we are live, and thank you all for attending. And I'm going to do my continued teachings on the Dharma, and to reflect on the Dharma and what the Dharma is that's basically the situation that I'm trying to teach. You know, how the Dharma works and why the Dharma is what it is. But it's reflective to a process that's going on in samsara. Yeah, this is samsara. Samsara is a lie. Yeah, it's illusion, delusion. It's a lie. Yeah, and that's why in the Dharma you're saved. You know, you're rescued from the process of a lie, and you're in the lie. You have no idea you're in the lie. You agree to the lie. You see it. You have consciousness that's built on the lie. You know, so your culture, your everything is on this lie. Yeah, so that's called samsara. Yeah, and on another level, in a human level, you know, you have your demons and you have your angels. Yeah. And you have your witches, and you have your monks and nuns, yeah, and you have your hierarchy, and you have Mara, yeah, which is the head of the other hierarchy, and it's a liar, so it has to present itself as the opposite hierarchy, yeah. When Buddha sees Mara, Buddha sees himself. You go, holy shit, what's that? You know, how's that there? You know, and it's totally reflecting me, and it's a delusion. It's an illusion. It's not real. Yeah, and it really takes him off course. And in reality, he has to defend himself from this thing, because in all truth, this is his opponent. This is his opposite. You know, so that's kind of a hard thing to turn around, you know. And when you're in a world that is not based on, in humanity's mind, it's not based on spiritual reality, manifestation, things that happen, all things, it's not really based on spiritual reality. It's more based on, you know, quasi-spiritual possible reality, or maybe not even that, you know, just chance or luck or your own accomplishments, yeah. But in the Dharma, yeah, it has to do with the truth, and that truth has to do with the reality of the incarnation of the Dharma King, you know, and the teachings of the Dharma, you know, the attributes that come with those teachings, and how that then turns everything around. That's what turning the wheel of Dharma means. You're turning everything around. You're given an opportunity in the middle of a lie. And that's really hard. It's got to be done in the middle of the lie. It's not like you know, in the illusion of most religions, heaven is separate from this place. Yeah. But in Buddhism, you know, the Dharma, the Buddha, the influence of all of Buddha is this place. Yeah, this is the manifestation, yeah, and this is a heavenly abode. This is a sacred place. This has all things about it that attracts the Buddha to it, to maintain it, to protect it. So what is Dharma? Dharma is the protector. It's the protector. So who is the Dharma King? Dharma King is the Dharma protector. Yeah. So if you study Buddhism, yeah, and you come to know Buddha, you know, who is Buddha? Buddha is the Dharma protector. He's the king. He's the king of the Dharma protector, you know. He can teach all the way up to Buddha and attain his enlightenment and be able to establish, even in dark times, become enlightened, yeah, by a day by day series of revelations that go on inside the Buddha that is totally different than the lie. Completely different. 24 hours a day. Truth in the mind of the Buddha. Yeah? And that's turning the wheel of Dharma, because the Buddha can't see it outside that. You know? So once he starts teaching, once he starts revealing, once he starts sharing, once he starts changing, not following certain teachers that says, well, you got to be vegetarian or you got to live a certain way in order to attain enlightenment. And he realizes it's a lie. It's a lie, And if enlightenment doesn't come naturally, then something's really wrong. Enlightenment has to be the easiest thing in the world to do once you get there. You've cleared all your impurities, you've knocked out all your bad habits, you've changed everything over to your true self, and now you're enlightened. Why? Because you're free. You're free to be yourself inside of a lie. That is Buddhism. And the teaching of the Dharma helps bring that Buddhism into humanity. But there's a lot behind the scene. You don't know what goes on behind the scene for the influences of Buddha. Well, Buddha's alive. What does, you know Jesus, he went on a cross and all that went on there. Well, that was a Buddha. And what it's like to be the Buddha and to go through and against the lie. And here he is. He's the king of heaven, He doesn't choose to be the king of earth, even though he is the avatar, but he is the king of heaven, and heaven is earth. You're the problem. You see it differently, but the avatar didn't see it differently. So when he said he was king, or he said he is the king of heaven, that brought a real construct against the kingdom of hell, which he was standing in, right in the middle of, with devotees from hell. Judas and many others, all of them devotees from hell. And if you study the Buddha, you'd have the same thing. His students were devotees from hell. And there was nothing he could do about it, because he's the one turning the Dharma. And they're the ones who are connected into previous teachers who are liars, deluded, fanatics, plugging people into illusion and delusion and little bits and pieces of lies that they could take life after life after life to finally get out of. It's a curse. Lies are a curse. And you can't imagine how many lies you can pull off in just one day, and how that curse becomes the attribute of who you are. And here you are, you're an angel, you're incarnated as an angel, but what happens when you turn that wheel in the opposite direction? You become a demon. You become a demon. There's no other door. There's not another door. So everything about what goes on here is to support demonic aspects, like greed and money and glamour and hate and war and all the things that we experience as life, as though that's real life. But in reality, it's a manifestation of humanity. And they're turning their way against being an angel. And it's not a willful thing. It is something that's happening on this earth by fallen angels. And it's those fallen angels, Lucifer, Satan, many, that affect this earth constantly. And that's in the Bible. That's taught to you by Buddhism. It's taught to you in Hinduism. It's taught to you in every aspect, So you're not in a situation that hasn't always been there. It's always been there. But what goes on today is a cycle of events that go on from previous lives. So it's like a movie that keeps coming around, but it's different. But it's still the same. So back in the 1600s, there was a time when tsongkhapa in Buddhism incarnated. And tsongkhapa was an incarnation of Manjushri, me, the coming of Buddha Maitreya. And there are also many lineage-holding qualities that go Padmasambhava, Nyingmapa, all the different lineages came with tsongkhapa. When he took his incarnation, it was after many other incarnations. And every single one of those incarnations were the highest attributes, qualities of a teacher. Which meant that he would be the best of best when it came down to studying something or figuring out something, or when it came down to the Dharma. Yeah? You study the Dharma, you study Buddhism, you study religious texts or anything, and you put tsongkhapa in there, no one could hold a candle to what the man could see and understand. Yeah? So that's how people knew tsongkhapa, and that's how tsongkhapa reformed much of what went on, because it was pretty messed up. It was pretty messed up. If you study Milarepa, you'll find that almost in all Tibetan Buddhism was the Bon, and it was relationship to Satan, and it was relationship to magic and black magic and materialism and hate and jealousy and greed and revenge. Yeah? And lamas would be paid to harm people by using psychic energy. And they'd be paid for that, to put curses on people, on houses, on families. Yeah? To destroy, rather than lift people up, as it says in Buddhism. Yeah? To raise all sentient beings up, never to do harm, never to carry out any act of harm toward another person, let alone not do that, but be so pure in yourself to move people away from that. Yeah? That is what a High Lama or somebody in Buddhism is supposed to be. Yeah. But in Tibetan Buddhism at that time, this is not the way it was. When Padmasambhava got there, it was so demonic. So many demons were the incarnation of the beings who lived in Tibet and Mongolia and Upper China and parts of Russia and parts of Pakistan and parts of Afghanistan and parts of India, all demonic in their teachings, all demonic in their power. And how they wanted to rule everything. And out of that came Hitler and all the people in humanity on a much lower level. Yeah? You'd have these people who would be so greedy and so bloodthirsty. Vlad the Impaler, you even have them in your history. That all comes from Tibetan Buddhism. It all comes from Tibetan Buddhism. It's a reflection. On high to low. When evil's happening on a high place, and you certainly can't imagine that evil is happening on a high place. That's got to be the one place where you can take refuge, where you can consider evil's not happening. Yeah. You see it. You see it in Trump. You see it in the news. You see it in politics. You see it in the police. You see it in the military. You see it. Yeah. But you still want to think, there's got to be somebody out there who knows how to do this right, and we could trust that it's going to work out. Yeah, and it goes all the way up to the top. Yeah, you want to really think that this is the way it is. But if you get to know the truth, and that's what I'm here for, to turn this wheel, and it's not to give you, petals and roses, so that you'll think all positive thoughts, because you can't really think positive thoughts until they're enlightened. They have to be a reflection of the truth. And first you got to know the truth, And it's difficult for us to know the truth because it's so wrapped up. Yeah. You wanted to trust Trump. Yeah. You wanted to trust the politicians. You wanted to trust. Yeah. But look what's happened. Look what all happens all the time. Yeah. And now if you go into spirituality, study the Pope. Holy crap, all the popes were evil. All the popes were evil. All you got to do is study it. If you open your heart to the truth and just study it, you can't lie about the past. And it's so easy to find the historical biographies of popes, and they're freaking evil. Incest, pedophilia, greed, murder over and over and over just to get their position. That's all the way up to just the last 100 years. And what has been going on? I mean, Hitler was given refuge in that group, along with the Dalai Lama. Catholics and the Tibetans gave refuge to Hitler. The Tibetans called Hitler a tuku, a master. Trusting him when he came in and asked to do things. Everybody else was not allowed to go to Tibet. Nobody was allowed. But when Hitler walked in and Mein Kampf and all this kind of crap, and the Dalai Lama is who the Dalai Lama is, you're walking into the hands of Genghis Khan, the reflection of war. Yeah? What energizes people to behave like that? To become the disciple of Satan. Would Satan come in the form of an angel? Is it possible? Yeah? That they could take the form of the Dalai Lama and the Pope? People you definitely see as angels. Definitely. If anything's an angel walking on the earth, you go, oh, Dalai Lama's one. That's for sure. You know? Oh, the Pope's one. That's for sure. If there's an angel on earth, it's the Pope. But you're in a lie. What does that mean if you're in a lie? It means you're in hell, folks. And guess who's in charge? And they're using the names of God. Yeah? Even terrorism is based on the process of that. You know, here you have all this that could be good, could be right, could be fluid toward people being good and moral and ethical. Yeah? But all it takes is fanaticism. Yeah? Lower mind. You know? Yeah? The influence of turning it in a way that will best serve you. And you want to be in charge, and you want to be the cleric, the head of the Muslim sect, and if it's a really bad time, and you start lying, and you start changing the rules, and you start saying it's this way, whether it's Judaism or Christianity, whatever it is, those liars lie for a reason. Yeah? In order to put you in a curse. Because what they're doing, what they say they are doing is opposite. Yeah? The Catholic Church says, oh, no. We cannot have homosexuality. Yeah. And yet most of the priests are homosexual. Most of the priests have been caught for raping little boys. And then they go, well, we'll take care of it within our own ranks. Because why? Why? Because we're holy. Holier than you. No, you're evil. A lot eviler than we are. Yeah? You're the ones who are raping the kids. Yeah? You're the ones who's lying. You're the ones who's giving us bread and say, drink the blood of Jesus Christ. What? You're the one who's praying to Lucifer on Easter and Christmas and other sanctified days you believe to be to God. And they give refuge. Through you. Take refuge. Take this wafer. Drink this blood. And then they call upon Lucifer. And they make Mary a goddess. Can you imagine that? Not sent by God. Not anointed by God. Not Jesus Christ, sent by God, anointed by God, yeah? But that's not who they talk of. Yeah? They talk of Mother Mary, full of grace, as though she is the Holy Spirit, as though she is the creator of God, of the incarnation of Jesus. Yeah? Lies, lies, lies. And it turns you into a superficial spiritual dilemma. Yeah? And you have no idea that it's all being used so that you cannot seek the truth. You think you know the truth. Your lie is a truth. And it's not. Yeah? And if you're Tibetan Buddhist, whoa, Dalai Lama, whatever he says, truth. He's Buddha. He's the incarnation of Buddha. Yeah? Yeah. Imagine in the Dalai Lama's case, we have many incarnations of these masters who incarnate, and the Panchen Lama, and most people in the Western world don't know anything about Panchen Lama. They know nothing about Karmapa. They know nothing about Sakya Trinzin and the Trinzin reality. They know nothing about the lineage of the Nyingmapa, the Galupa. What does that mean? How does that even happen? But it's important that we know these things. It's important that we know what Zen is. It's important we know what the Tao is. It's important. If you're going to be a Buddhist, if you're going to be religious, if you're going to be spiritual, you need to know the philosophy of God, which is how to get to the Ten Commandments, how to behave in the way of the Ten Commandments, how to get under samsara, and maybe live a simpler life of ceremony and order and right relationship. And hopefully bring your chakras into the first initiation by purifying and taking away as many lies as you possibly can out of your life. That's a difficult thing to do, but if you study Buddhism, it really does move you, regulate that energy. But on top of it, you have a curse, whether you believe it or not. If you want to believe in Buddhism on this day, this period of time, Buddha is cursed. If you want to believe in Buddhism, then you've got to go through the fricking Dalai Lama. And you'll be cursed because he is trying to kill Buddha. He's trying to kill Buddha. And how's that possible, that the Dalai Lama is trying to kill Buddha? But if you go back in his history, it's not the first time. He was caught during the 5th Dalai Lama, when his rival, the first person who was chosen to be the Dalai Lama reincarnation, was a man known as Dorje Chungten. And that influence, because of his masterfulness, and because he was the reincarnation of tsongkhapa, and because he was the reincarnation of Manjushri, he was a freaking Buddha. They had the opportunity to put that being on the throne. But despite that, there was this other person who fought their way into becoming what's known as the Dalai Lama. But if you really know what the Dalai Lama is the reincarnation of Genghis Khan. It was a Khan game. They killed the Dalai Lama. They killed the guy, Sonom Gyatso. And once they killed him, they then claimed the reincarnation, of Genghis Khan, an old man who died right after that. This kid comes, incarnates, who really is the reincarnation of Genghis Khan, and they say, no, he is the reincarnation of Sonom Gyatso. And they can say that because they're the ones who created the ceremony to create the word Dalai Lama, to create the office Dalai Lama. It's a fictitious office. It doesn't have any real reality. In Buddhism, we don't have a king. We don't have a president. We don't have a government. We don't have things like that. We have self-realization. We have bodhicitta. We have bodhisattva. We have reincarnation. We have it is hard, and then you die, and then you reincarnate again. And that's that. If you think president or things like that, you'd just be chasing your tail from one life after another, trying to be the Dalai Lama. When in reality, what you need to be is the best teacher you could be. Whatever that is. And keep turning the world. That's why Dorje Chungten had no problem stepping aside, saying, okay, let him be the Dalai Lama. But as time came along, they were both the same age, because they both were the ones who were selected to be maybe the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama, which meant that they were born at the same time. So they go to school at the same time, and they're graduating at the same time. They're in the same classes, taking teachings from the same teachers. But the problem is that Dorje Chungten knew everything. And he graduated more than with honors. He had hundreds of thousands of students who came to listen to him lecture and take his course and read back to his teacher what he understood. And it was so clear and so precise and so clean, that after 5 years of doing this, he started getting the biggest following you could ever imagine in Tibetan Buddhism, ever. And the students of the Dalai Lama got jealous. And they thought that we can't have that. People are going to want to go to this guy over the Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama will never have credibility in this life. We have to kill Dorje Chönden. So the students of the Dalai Lama go forth to kill. Yeah? And when you're that high, when you're that kind of person, you know, students don't do something on their own. Yeah? Everything's done psychically. A pledge, an anointment, an overpowering of jealousy, an overpowering of revenge, an overpowering, you know, when you have someone up against you who you can't compete against. I'm frozen. Am I frozen on both of them? Yeah. How's that possible? That's pretty cool. Oh, that's desktop. There we go. Hi, yeah. Oh, I'm way back here now. Hi. Okay. So the deal is that, you know, the Dalai Lama is not who you think he is. The Dalai Lama reacts and responds to things, has jealousy and enviousness, and when he in this life in 1970 started going against Dorje Chönden, it's because he and a group of Rinpoches realized Dorje Chönden is reincarnated and he's the Buddha Maitreya. And that he was offered position, offered the position of becoming the last Dalai Lama. And that was done when I was 9 years old. They came to my house in America to pick me up and go take the position as the Dalai Lama. Even the Dalai Lama was already 17 or 18 years old, and I was only 9 years old. My teaching and my credibility and my credentials immediately put me in position to be voted on. And before I ever got there, I was voted on. And I was the guy who was going to be in charge, even at 9 years old. And the Dalai Lama heard of this. Yeah. So by the time I get to be about 17 years old, yeah, the Dalai Lama is very much freaking out. And his teachers constantly are giving him these teachings about Dorje Chönden and the protector. And every day he's taking those teachings and studying it, he gets more upset and more freaked out. So he studies and searches ways to prove, now this is like Trump, to prove people wrong in their choice of the candidate that they chose to be Buddha the protector, Dorje Chönden. Yeah? He had to turn that all around, just like what happened when he was the 5th Dalai Lama. They had to kill the man. And that ousted everybody, because everybody was on their own place, had voted that Dorje Chönden was the incarnation of the Avalokitesvara of this age. You know, so he was going to be the teacher. Whether or not the Dalai Lama, you know, was Dalai Lama, you know, still there's going to be, you know, Dorje Chönden, which is the reincarnation of tsongkhapa. You know, so there is no Dalai Lama. All there is students. And this is like Judas. Yeah. And there was a Judas for Jesus. And you don't think that there's a Judas for Buddha? You are wrong. And what do you think Judas wants to do? He wants to be Jesus. He wants to be the one in charge. He doubts Jesus. Judas did. I doubt you. I'm not sure you know what you're doing. I'm going to force this issue. That's one teacher pushing another. Yeah. This is the way I would do it. No, this is how I'm doing it. Yeah. And that's the teaching coming out of the time of Lucifer during the time of Jesus. Yeah. That's amongst him, within his own disciple, within his own ranks. And this is the same thing with the Dalai Lama and his disciples. Yeah. So it's all in the same orbit of reality, that we can look back and see Jesus. You can also look back and see Buddha. He had to leave villages one after another because his life and all of his students' lives were a threat. You know, people really didn't like the guy. You know, later, yeah, great, you know. But during the time, it was a very hard process because there were all these anti-Buddhas. There's all these people saying, Buddha doesn't believe in God. Buddha's a demon. That's what they said during the time of Buddha. That's really hard to get over that. And that's what the Dalai Lama says about Dorje Chönden. He's a demon. So you have to get rid of him. Get rid of him. And then he says, and there is no other area inside of Tibetan Buddhism that Dorje Shugden is practiced other than our Gelugpa sect. And that's a lie. It's a lie. Dorje Shugden immediately reincarnated in the Sakya sect. And he's found in many incarnations of the Sakya sect, which is where all of his next incarnations take place, which is where I was recognized, and monasteries being built for me through the Sakya sect as the reincarnation of Dorje Shugden, the lineage holder of the Sakya. And all Sakya Trinzins are reincarnations of Dorje Shugden. And you're not even told that. All this time, you're not even told that. So let me show you this. Before Dorje Shugden arose as an enlightened Dharma protector, the renowned Lama Tuku Dokye Gyaltsen, who lived during the time of the great fifth Dalai Lama. That's a Tuku, and they recognize me as a Tuku, as a Dokye Gyaltsen, but that is, in time after death, I'm known as Dorje Shugden. That's a deity they give the name to, not as an individual. So then, this is the process where I come and I'm a candidate for the recognition of the reincarnation of the fourth Dalai Lama. Why is the Dalai Lama afraid of his rival? If what he claims about the Buddha Dorje Shugden is a lie, then who really is the Dalai Lama, and is he the attacker of Buddha? The Dalai Lama discouraged rituals aimed at Dorje Shugden started in 1970. But some members of the clergy ignored him and carried on for the tradition. So in 1996, he prohibited it. Before Dorje Shugden was widely practiced in Gelugpa tradition, he was enthroned as the protector of Sakya schools in Tibetan Buddhism. If one was to examine Sakya practice, Dorje Shugden, one would quickly realize that for more than 3 centuries, Dorje Shugden was constantly in there. Before Dorje Shugden arose as an enlightened Dharma protector, he was renowned Tuku Dokye Gyaltsen. He lived during the time of the great fifth Dalai Lama. This is the 31st Sakya Trinzin, and this goes all the way back to the death of Dorje Shugden. The 30th Sakya Trinzin Sonom Rinchen passed his practice of Dorje Shugden to his son, who is believed to be an emanation of Dorje Shugden himself. During his lifetime, Kungo Lundro composed before Dorje Shugden arose as an enlightened Dharma protector, the renowned Lama I repeated that. This is the Sakya Trinzin group. They wrote prayers and created many different practices all throughout the root traditions for 3 centuries. That's a long time. The 29th Sakya Trinzin, he was also recognized as an emanation or incarnation of Dorje Shugden. One of the Trinzins stated in the incarnation of he's an incarnation of a divine being. He's also sought to establish that his father, Kungo Numpo, was an incarnation of Avalokitesvara. He accomplished this by first establishing his father as the incarnation of Dorje Shugden. Dorje Shugden sitting regally. This is the main tonka of the Sakya, and this is it here. And you see Dorje Shugden in the center, and all around him are emanations of all the leading Sakya Trinzins, who are himself. That's why my monastery and all that's going on is centered right on top of the Dalai Lama. Yeah, it's in a. I'll have you read this. This is Nyingmapa. And also in Nyingmapa is the entire process of many lineages that go through the past that connect with Dorje Chungden. The central figure in this Sakya lineage is Dorje Chungden. Yeah, so imagine, you can't go back in time and see the movie of the effect of the day that Dorje Chungden was murdered. And you can't go back in time to see the movie of the effect of the day that Jesus Christ was murdered. But the same thing happened on their deaths. Yeah, during the time of Jesus, there was an earthquake. And it got very weird. And people started channeling, and all kinds of really crazy ass shit went on for quite a few days after the death of Jesus. And it was all by possession, all dark forces. Many deaths took place, many people weren't saved, many people were cursed deeply for many lives, over the process of what took place. And then what happens with Dorje Chungden? He dies, and and right after he dies, it gets so cloudy the sky turns black. And the clouds start going into tornadoes, and smoke manifests into the clouds. Smoke, a black smoke, goes into the clouds, and it turns into a tornado, and it runs all over the land, and thousands of animals die. This is on one day. People get sick, like they've been poisoned. Thousands of people get sick. This goes on through the first day and halfway through the second day, and they're trying to do the cremation, and they can't light the fire. And the Dalai Lama's totally flipping out. He's jumping around, calling Dorje Chungden a demon, saying that's why there's black clouds, that's why. No, the reason why there's black clouds is because they killed Buddha. It was a horrible karmic event on earth, and the earth was cursed. No blessing came from it. A curse came from it, which could take a long time to heal. A long time. Could have been prevented. Jesus' situation could have been prevented. Dorje Chungden's situation could have been prevented. They could have said, no, we will not accept this person as Dalai Lama because they're incompetent. They lack compassion. They are not an enlightened being. He keeps getting older and he keeps getting dumber. He's more violent and aggressive than what we should be expecting and accepting. Yeah? Life after life, this Dalai Lama behaves like that. And they have to keep coming up with that process. So in the fifth one, all of a sudden, here's the real Sonam Gyatso, the guy they've enthroned the first time as the Dalai Lama. Shows up, and then they kill him. Wow. I mean, really, can you see the movie? Can you just imagine it? Yeah? This, according to all the angels, yeah, all the future Buddhas, all the future students, yeah, all of them crying, all of them losing their life, their vitality, unable to go into the earth, their whole future is shot for hundreds of years, yeah? Then we go deeper and deeper into this stupid Catholic Christian bullshit, when in reality we should have been saved by Jesus Christ within the 1400s. By the 1400s. By the time we got to the 1600s, we had tsongkhapa. We keep going with that, the virtues and the teachings and the cleansing, the healing, the incarnation comes even greater, like Dorje incarnates. But he was killed. Jesus was killed. How much more good? You know? I know that that life went on because he resurrected. I know that life went on and he went to teaching. But no one knows that he went to Buddhism. And he turned the wheel of Buddhism. And he chose to commit to Buddhism. And to reincarnate within the law of Buddhism. And to become a tuku. Simple tuku. Yeah? And then come to incarnate and give these teachings and find himself on the highest ranks of the teachings by nature. Simply by the truth. Yeah? That's how you recognize a master. Yeah? They grow up to be a master. They start off as a master. Yeah? And they reincarnate as a master. And that's what gives you faith in life. Yeah? But we are set in a system where this guy knows, I don't want you to find the reincarnation of any masters, let alone Buddha. He's going to stop you from ever meeting the Panchen Lama. Yeah? Keep you from taking ordination under the Karmapa. Because he couldn't deal with the true teachings that the Dalai Lama has to receive, which did get received, yeah, through Sonam Gyatso. Sonam Gyatso gave the teaching, to the Mongolian leaders, who at that time was the Genghis Khan family. Yeah. And had to give the teachings of reincarnation. This is the truth. This is how it happens. And Sonam Gyatso would say, and I am going to reincarnate. And when I reincarnate, I will continue my Dharma. Yeah. And I will continue going up the ladder until I bring Buddha to earth in my body. Every time doing that. Yeah. And that was seen as an opportunity. That was seen as knowing too much. Yeah. Knowing that taking the name and entering the cycle of tuku was one of the best ways to destroy Buddhism. Yeah. So the Dalai Lama's on that. And the same thing with the Pope. Taking the position of the Pope. If you go back in history, you'll find so many people, evil, corrupt people who bought their way and killed and poisoned in order to get the position of the Pope. Just a position, a title. Yeah? Yeah. And so that they could have this influence. But in reality, they're really evil beings that want to wield that influence. That means it's going to pass into people because everybody's going to have to hand their devotion over to this demon. And that's the most powerful thing Satan could do for us, to get us like that. Yeah? To get us into a time to where there are false prophets. And the only one that's going to help you out here is the one that's telling you they're false prophets. Yeah? And they don't want me, to be coming forth, walking around, taking over any positions, So it becomes a manifestation on many levels. We can see it in the normal samsara position of here we have a president who's doing all these really crazy ass illegal things. How is it possible that's going on? Well, the Dalai Lama. He's doing the same thing. This is all a reflection from above going down on different levels. Each one is doing exactly the same thing but on a different level. Yeah? And these up here are looking straight into my face, and they're doing it. Yeah? Sitting on my throne seat, looking straight into my face and laughing at God. Yeah? I'm getting away with this. Yeah? You're not going anywhere, not in this life or any future lives, because we find you, we catch you, and then we manifest the opposite. We take the claim. We create a whole office of the Dalai Lama in order to keep people from realizing and recognizing an incarnation of a real Buddha. Who you shouldn't be looking for Dalai Lama. You should be looking for the reincarnation of Buddha. But the Dalai Lama says, well, why do we believe in reincarnation when the Buddha's never reincarnated? Famous teachers like Tsongkhapa has never reincarnated. This is what he says. These are in his books. This is what he teaches. Yeah? And that's because that is his intention. This is his intention. Yeah? And it's the same thing with the Pope. He has no interest whatsoever of Jesus Christ being reincarnated. And yet CIA knows of me. Yeah? I've had lamas come to my house when I'm a kid. Obviously, I can't be sending letters out saying, hey, guess what? I'm Jesus Christ. You ought to come and get me. You know, it's a very innocent outcome when a master incarnates and this avatar reality comes down. These things happen to him. Nobody else, just him. But when it comes down to his hierarchy, it happens to them too. Every one of his tukus get the same process. And they get freed from their mom and dad. They get freed from many things, and they get to be taken immediately back to the monastery, sat back in front of their books and everything, and start back from where they ended, where they last did their meditation, where they last did their work, you know, and go back and take responsibility for those things. That has nothing to do with samsara. It has to do with building piece by piece a Dharma reality, connecting one life to the next, and service, a bodhisattva arrangement. Yeah? And we commit ourselves to that. You know, in reincarnation as a tuku. You know, we don't accept being a tuku unless we're willing to give up our life and do as we're supposed to do, which isn't what we're in our mind we're expecting to do. We're expecting to get families and have jobs and have a profession and things like that. But you're a tuku, you know. And if you are a tuku, then you have to recapitulate your previous life and get yourself to the position of that time when you left your life, which is just 8-10 years ago. It's not that hard, you know. And that is how it works, you know, with tukus, because they're saints and they're telepathic. And the teaching in the Dharma, I'm always incarnated, so I'm always somehow in touch with the tukus. I'm either their teacher as Padmasambhava, or I'm a teacher as Milarepa, or I am their teacher as a Karmapa, or I am the teacher as Sonam Gayatso, yeah? Whether, it doesn't matter what lineage it is, I incarnate in all of them, yeah? And doing this process, you know, we have, you know, a way to, we're going to, but we have a way to overthrow this. But you need to know the truth. It's not a conspiracy. It's a matter-of-fact reality of liars. Liars. The Dalai Lama knows he's a liar. He knows who he is. He knows he's not Buddha. Yeah? He knows he killed a Buddha. He knows it freaks him out. And how will he ever clear that in his karma? The only way, because he has no virtues, no purity, the only way he can do it is by being jealous and envious and writing books against Dorje Chögyam, where he should be taking refuge. He should be giving prayers and giving up being the Dalai Lama because of his terrible sin against Dorje Chögyam originally when he was made the fifth Dalai Lama. He should have, just like Trump. But he can't. He can't. Because he's the demon. He's created his own position in a lying world. A world that doesn't exist. Yeah? Trump doesn't exist. The world that Trump is in doesn't exist. The position of a president, the position of all these different things, as though they have all this power, and it's titulary. It's untrue. It's only potential. We are a collective. We have to work within a collective consciousness. We have to have morals and ethics to move through this thing without competition and separation. But that isn't what exists. What we have is people like Trump and other people who are very much like Trump. All these ladies that come out with their guns and everything, and their hate and their hostility, it's not what you're expecting. But taking a physical body as male or female, the demon doesn't care. It's just a demon. It doesn't care about whether or not it's male or female. It's a demon. Does that make sense? It's only interested in its guns. It's a demon. Yeah? It's only interested in pedophilia. It's a demon. It's only interested in making other people feel guilty for not being like them, like a demon. Yeah? Because demons force their chakras on people. And they break the law of doing that. And then they make you feel guilty for having the law broken. Because now you have the opportunity of owning a gun, the opportunity of carrying on an abortion, the opportunity of doing all the things that you have the opportunity to do. Yeah? But only through your consciousness, only through wisdom, only through kindness and caring and love and all those things do you not do any of those things by nature. By nature, not by a good book or not by a good teacher who tells you what's right or wrong. It's not by anything like that. It's by bodhicitta, by bodhisattva. Yeah? It's within a human being to have these things come up. And the Dalai Lama is not bodhicitta. He's not bodhisattva. He's a liar. The Pope is not a Christian. He's a liar. Yeah? He's a horrible, horrible being. Yeah, it may just shock everybody to think, oh, no, wait now. A Pope's not a horrible being. Yeah, he is. He's a horrible being. Horrible. He's fully capable of stopping homosexuality within the ranks. He's fully capable of stopping pedophilia and changing humanity to become Christians. But he doesn't do one thing to do that. Not one thing. Yeah? He is a man of, as he calls it, a man of tolerance. He tolerates sin. And he says that's because he's so holy. Yeah? No, it's because he's evil. He is the creator of your sin. And you look to him as though he's going to help you out of it. And he is actually putting you in it. Yeah? There's no saving grace in the Catholic Church. There's no saving grace in the Muslim Church. There's no saving grace in the Jewish synagogue. There's none. There's no saving grace in the Dalai Lama or any book written by the Dalai Lama or a blessing given by the Dalai Lama. And almost every Rinpoche is empty in the vitality of their blessings due to their connection with an incarnation of the Dalai Lama, who is a false prophet. And he's sending out lies and evil. He's causing people in Tibetan Buddhism to harm other Buddhists, just simply because he wants them to do harm against Buddha. against Dorje Chönden. Yeah? He wants them to do harm. Beat people up because they believe in Dorje Chönden. Beat them up. Don't let them go to school. Don't let them have a job. Don't let them live in your area. Don't let them go to a monastery. Kick them out of the monastery. That went on for over 20 years, since 1970, and it really started up in 1995. Yeah, he just went wacko. Because that's when I showed up with the Karmapa and everybody, and they were starting to enthrone me, and I was being fully recognized, and I was starting to build up Nepal, and there was nothing he could do to stop me other than kill me. You know, he wasn't able to do that. I'm still here. You know, and I went, by the year 2000, I was enthroned in every single lineage. Yeah, so he just went wacko. He just like Trump. Oh no, Biden's the devil. Oh no, we're in a QAnon. You know. Oh no, this is what it is. You know. He would say, oh no, it's China. Yeah, that's what the Dalai Lama says. Just like Trump. Oh, it's China. China's after us. China doesn't want us. China doesn't like us. You know. If you study it, you'll find out China was pretty pissed off over slavery. You know. They were trying to abolish slavery within China. All of China, and that included Tibet. And 95% of the people in Tibet were indentured slaves and will be till the end of time. And they knew that. And there's no way these people will ever move into the modern world if they're under this freaking evil Dalai Lama. And they knew the Dalai Lama was evil, and they knew the Panchen Lama was not evil. Yeah? But because of the Dalai Lama, the Panchen Lama had to go to prison and be beaten and nearly killed because of the Dalai Lama. Yeah? You know, so you have no understanding of the influences that go on that are exactly the same in our common world as we're dealing with, whether you're in Brazil or you're in Russia, you know, dealing with Putin, or it's all Dalai Lama. They're all reflections of the Dalai Lama. Whether it be the Pope, it's just a reflection of the Dalai Lama. Yeah? You know, it's the truth. Yeah? And I don't know other ways to express it. It's not just about putting out a sign saying, get rid of the Dalai Lama, da, da, da. But there is a reason why this is the last Dalai Lama. It's the last, you know. Has nothing to do with China. It has nothing to do with the Dalai Lama saying, oh, I have power over reincarnation, so I'm not going to reincarnate again. That's what he says. I have power over reincarnation, so I'm not going to No, Buddha does, and you've been judged. Buddha's here, and you're not. This is it, dude. You are not coming back, and there is no position, Dalai Lama, for you to take. All the other tukus have their names and titles, and they're in a lineage, and they're safe under Buddha Maitreya. Every single one of them. If you look at their lineage trees, their center point of lineage tree is Buddha Maitreya. Yeah? You know, so in the end, it all comes down to me. And in the end, this guy is evaporating into the sunset. It is over with. This is no more incarnations of this guy. No more will you ever seek a Dalai Lama and pledge to a Dalai Lama. And the same thing, once that's over with, the same thing will happen to the Pope, and the same thing will happen to the fake clerics of Muslims and the fake Jews who say there was no Jesus Christ. I mean, how much of a heretic can you be? He was a Jew. I mean, how far do you have to go to be nice? You know? To go into the land of Jerusalem, you know, where all of God was put into the worst possible condition. You have no idea the history that goes with God and Moses and all the influences of building through Enoch the process of the Great Pyramid, and through Atlas the process of creating this planet the way it is. These are the hierarchy. You know, not the Dalai Lamas and shit like that. There are real people that are in charge of this place. real power holders that are in charge of this place. Yeah? And you don't get to have any contact with any of them. And yet they're incarnated in a very weak state because somebody else is using their title. Somebody else is calling out that they're the ones who did it. They're the ones who are holding this. Or just giving you illusions that there is no God. Yeah? There is no reincarnation. Yeah? Just to pull you into that. But this is the last life of this guy. You know, even in history, even in all books of Tibetan Buddhism, it states there will not be a 15th Dalai Lama. Never. So, this is number 14. And that's it. You know? It's not like Trump. It says, you know, Trump would say, well, then I won't die. I'm going to be cloned. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clone myself, you know. And you'll never stop me. That's my idea. Yeah. But that's the kind of crazy shit, you know, this world of materialism is like. And it's over with. Because I'm working on high, you know. And I could see what's going on, you know. But on high, it's the Dalai Lama and it's the Pope, you know. It's the relationship of Sai Baba. It's the relationship of people like Michael Jackson and other people who are extremely evil from low levels all the way up to high levels. Yeah? And it's my process is to see these people and stop them from reincarnating. Because trust me, folks, you reincarnate. But guess who does that for you? You are in the body as an emanation of God. You are in the body of God. And it's God that chooses whether or not you reincarnate, how you reincarnate, at what position you reincarnate, and what way your life is going to be in that incarnation. Yeah? It's a real control scenario. There is no chances that maybe you might get it over, you know, and do what it is you want out of life. You're going to do exactly what God wants, whether you like it or not. And this process that we're in, because of this incarnation and the incarnation of Tukus, and the reincarnation of every living soul in humanity, and the wiping away of the false teachers, stopping them from their reincarnation, having them not come back, there are places for them to go. We call it hell. Yeah? It's not a nice place. It's not a good place. Yeah? It's deep in the realms of the bardo. You do not incarnate in that time. You don't incarnate. You live in the bardo. You are in a terrible nightmare. And your soul continues, life continues, your consciousness continues, and it can go on for thousands and thousands of years. And you think you're just dying. You think, oh, I've died and come back. And you keep having these lives in the bardo, and they're not real. And it satisfies that illusionary life. You should read about this in Tibetan Buddhism in the Bardo, written by Padmasambhava. It's very interesting reading, yeah? And it gives us a safeguard, you know, to know that Buddha's job is to control reincarnation and to raise all sentient beings up to receive the blessings of reincarnation. It's not that it's a bad thing, because the Buddhas literally take on the demons, wipe them out, kick their ass, push them aside, make them less by them becoming greater. Yeah? It's a formula. Yeah? In the process of darkness, if you follow the Dalai Lama, and I'm only 5 years old, and you have a Dalai Lama who's like probably 15 years old, and just now at that time getting enthroned, you know, and that's going into the aura of humanity. Yeah? And within the next 15 to 20 years, people are going to know this asshole. Yeah? And he's going to betray all of Tibetan Buddhism and not get busted for it. You know? And the other heads, all the heads, Karmapa, yeah, the Panchen Lama, all the heads, even Sakya Trinzin, many of them are all going to be under threat over the reality of the behavior of one man in the time of Tibetan Buddhism. And no one knows any of that is actually going on. Nobody knows that that's going on. Yeah? So the influence of this is that door is closing. Yeah? His ability to carry out those influences inside an elemental realm. Yeah? You have no idea, because we are spiritual, 99% spiritual. Yeah? And if you take someone who is a false prophet, a freaking fucking demon, you know, and puts their mind and their heartlessness into the actions of harming avatars and tukus and saints in their previous lives, knowing that they're coming back and doing black magic in order to place spells on them. This, as we know, is the practice of the Galupa sect. Yeah, it's an old practice that went on and destroyed the Karmapa, destroyed Sharmapa, destroyed many lineages inside of Tibetan Buddhism, was the jealousy and the enviousness of the Dalai Lama. He would force ceremonial magic to be used, black magic. His biggest book that he wrote as the fifth Dalai Lama is the ceremonial magic book of all the ceremonial objects you use in both white and black magic, predominantly black magic. Yeah? Non-ceremonial devices. Yeah? Whether it be, scarves or, things that you put in the temple and symbols that you put up and all those things and their meanings and their ceremonies. He wrote that book, while he was the fifth Dalai Lama after killing Dorje Chungden. Now, you think Dorje Chungden would have wrote a book on how to practice black magic? I doubt it. I think there would have been a book that would have come out in relationship of better understanding Jesus Christ and a furthering by the time we get to the year 1900 to the year 2000, which would be the reincarnation cycle of Jesus Christ. All the incarnations of Dorje Chungden would have furthered the cleansing, the purifying of masses of humanity. Yeah? But no one knew that that was really the calling inside of Tibetan Buddhism. The calling inside of Tibetan Buddhism was to go out into the world and let people know the coming of Buddha and to orient themselves toward Christ being Buddha, Krishna being Buddha, Shiva being Buddha. If you ever went into Tibetan Buddhism, you'd find that there are all these different relationships of teachings that are so deep. Includes Christianity and Shivism and Hinduism and the incarnation of Krishna. They see lineages built, They study for a long time in relationship to how to better understand the philosophy of other religions, and they all tie together due to the avatar. And it's in Tibetan Buddhism that that's found. Yeah? So all the tukus are well aware of the outcome of what's going to come down. Yeah? That Maitreya would be the reincarnation of Manjushri, that we wouldn't have separate deities. When Maitreya comes, everything becomes one. The teacher becomes one. Previous lives becomes the previous lives of the teacher, rather than all these different separate influences that the Dalai Lama or other lesser teachers have pulled off. Yeah? So that influences, those doors are all closing as these people leave. And that includes Trump. Can you imagine? Trump is probably turning 80 pretty soon. I think he's like 75, 76, 77. Keep going, yeah. But he's not the healthiest guy, hamburger happy guy in the world, And you never know how long he might live. But that day's coming. Definitely a lot shorter than it is when he was 20. Yeah? So we can count down possibly 10 to 15 years before that demon's off the earth. And the earth will never see it again. And so many lives has the earth dealt with this creature. So many lives. He's spawned all these creatures around him, like little Eric and little this and a little, all these creatures, all elementally under a facade of perfection, whether it be beauty or, money or all those different things. Those are all bad karma, delusions of facades. Yeah. So those relationships that come in, they give us abilities to move toward glamour, move toward, being not a good person or even a halfway good person. Yeah? Subtly lying, being a little bit corrupt. Yeah. But when these people are gone, the influence of what is inside you, the bodhicitta quality, and the ability for you to register your influence of being a bodhisattva, which is far different than the process of a lie. Because you can't get that. You can't get the thought of, reincarnation, and I'm going to become a Buddha, and I'm also, I'm offering myself up to be a saint. I'm offering all my vices up, here and now. All those things happen in your bodhicitta as you're moving further and further toward bodhisattva, moving further and further toward becoming a Buddha. It is our nature. It's the way it's going to happen. But not with Trumps, not with, Michael Jacksons, not with a large number of people that are on the planet. But those large numbers are only 2% of the planet. They're the demons. It's only 2%. And they all are dying. They all die. And they are not going to come back. So that influence is the turning of the wheel of Dharma. The closing of the door of the astral plane is the closing of the door of reincarnation from the astral plane. Masters of the astral plane, masters of witchcraft, masters of warlocks, masters that create the influence of pedophilia, prostitution, all the qualities and characteristics that make people do what they do, to create all the vices that manifest into the current of their soul, which would have been a soul, but it's not. Instead of putting a blessing out or having a blessing to manifest into the world, they have nervousness and a sense of unaccomplishment. Always a sense of, I'm not worthy. I'm impure. And yet we are worthy. The only reason we don't have those feelings, those true feelings that God is in us, and we are more pure than we were 10 years ago, and we should feel it. The only reason it's not there so strong is because there's still a Dalai Lama alive. Because there's still the system of popes. Because there's still the process that goes on in the religious bullshit that creates terrorism and hate and injustice and Satanism. All of that is still alive. But all of that is being wiped away. So the influence that we get is if we do puja, we do our meditations, and we do those sort of things, we manifest those. Imagine in Tibetan Buddhism, they say if you do a prayer, do Om Mani Padme Hum, and you do that prayer just one time, that manifests in a rippling effect. Hundreds of thousands of prayers, because it's the correct prayer. It's the correct thing. If you do Om, and you do it in a good quality, and you just sitting in it, and you just continue doing that Om, it becomes the quality of your higher nature. Even though you're ignorant and you have no idea that that is what goes on or anything like that, but the mantra is a triggering of magic. So when we do our invocations, when we do a Chinrizi puja, when we do any of that, if we have bodhicitta inside of us, we affect that bodhicitta inside of other people who will no longer, it will erase the life existence of a Dalai Lama. Like right now we know Dalai Lama and we're thinking, you might be Buddhist and but 10 years from now, once that guy is gone and the books aren't out there that much and nobody really talks about it much, and it's just hardly even Lamaism, because it has to come back. He's taken everything away. There is no Lamaism in America. There's no such thing. Nobody even considers becoming a Lama or a Buddhist or anything like that, because he took it all away. But that's going to change dramatically as the teachings come into manifestation. And the only way that can happen is by people actually doing the same invocations. I invoke the power, the love, the wisdom. Invoking that. Every time that's done, it is 10,000 times more powerful than the one little negative word or the negative thing you may have said that day. Yeah, if you do, that's what mantras are for. That's what prayer is for. That's what meditation is for. It is 1,000 times, 100,000 times more powerful than the negative. Your depression or your jealousy or whatever it is that may have come up that you think, oh man, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to be, a fully ordained happy person, But you're working on it, and it is 100,000 times more powerful than what you're going through. So the outcome is that we are turning the wheel of Dharma, and it will be Dharma that comes into the future, and the astral plane and karma will not be there. Yeah? So all of our, whatever we see in the world, wars, all those things that we see in the world have a different outcome to their manifestation. Yeah? It's not like, imagine that here we have a sickness and illness, and we have the possibility of going back to Pakistan, or maybe be in another war, or maybe have a terrorism happen here. But in the process, in a healthy process, what happens if this becomes where we're awakened to a place to where we're healers, and we have no idea that that healing is happening, but it's 10,000 times more powerful than the negativity. And that energy of 10,000 times becomes awesome once it reaches a certain point. Yeah? So I may be sitting here with 100 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people now. Yeah? But that's 100 to 100,000 times the energy is coming out of these people. And that's far greater than the small 2% of the evil ones that are putting out what they're doing to affect the rest of humanity. Yeah? So going into the light it is 10,000 times harder than going into the darkness, but the effect is that it's 10,000 times more powerful than following the darkness. Because the darkness has no energy, none. It only creates illusions and delusions and fear. Yeah? And God always wipes away the delusion, and always wipes away the illusion, and always takes away the fear, and you go, whew, that was a close one. Yeah? But you never really remember that, because we are up against samsara. The Dalai Lama is incarnated. The Pope is incarnated. This is shit that we've got in our life that we are constantly up against until that wheel has turned fully the elimination of the astral plane. And trust me, it's going to happen. You're doing great. Yeah? It's just a matter of fulfilling the continuation. This has to be on a daily basis. That's why there's a pyramid here. That's why there's a monastery here. It has an address. It will always be here. There are Dharma centers elsewhere. I'm in all major monasteries in Tibet now, and my pujas are in puja books, and things like that. So there is an enormous transfiguration in the process of people, even in Tibet, letting go of the Dalai Lama. When I went there, everybody would come up to me and say, "You're the real Dalai Lama." They wouldn't say, "Oh, you're a great Rinpoche, you're a wonderful Buddha." They would always say, "You're the real Dalai Lama." And I'm go, what? I don't like the Dalai Lama. I don't want to be the Dalai Lama. I don't believe in that shit, But yet that would be what they'd say, because the Dalai Lama is the highest living person in Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, and I am that in anything. Yeah. But in that case, and even like in the Pope, imagine if I come up against the Pope, he's not going to see Jesus. Yeah? He's going to have an exorcism. Yeah? He and about 100,000 cardinals are going to have an exorcism. Yeah? So it's really not the best thing for me to be running around trying to go heal the Pope, because the Pope has to be healed in its own degree through humanity, through radiation. So I build a temple, I do the pujas, I give my classes, and it turns my Dharma according to Dharma. Not push, not shove, not make anything happen, but it happens according to the Dharma. And in God's thing, we call it, it's all according to God's time. Yeah? So patience is involved and all these virtues are involved, and that's where we sit in this process of changing everything that's happening. It's changed by bringing about the reality of reincarnation and the fact that you're actually, it is not under your control whether or not you reincarnate as a human being or whether or not you reincarnate at all. Yeah. So over the next 20 or 30 years, those kind of things will be spoken about by tukus. Right now, they can't really talk about it. They can only mention that, yes, I am a reincarnated tuku. But you never read in their books that everybody reincarnates. They always, allude to only other tukus may incarnate. And it's a kind of a thing that happens in Tibetan Buddhism because we meditate that way. It has an outcome of that sort of thing, They give reasons for it, but they're not the truth. They're not the truth. Yeah, the truth comes from enlightenment. Truth is kind of half truth or quarter truth. I thought it was the truth. Now it's another truth. That's how truth works. And your level of consciousness is your view of the truth. And where I'm at, I got a great view of the truth. Yeah, and it's just a matter of turning that wheel, saying these things instills in your cells, a process that turns against the fact that previous lives. In Genghis Khan raped so many women, raped thousands of women. So it is thought in science, there isn't a person on earth who isn't genetically connected to Genghis Khan due to rape. Isn't that amazing? And study science. Think about that. This is a horrible thing energetically. It's a horrible thing that people have been put into the position of being in the family of Genghis Khan, an offspring of Genghis Khan, great-great-great-great-great-grandchild, great-great-great-uncle, great-great-great this and that, a bloodline, the largest bloodline on earth is this guy we call the Dalai Lama. Yeah. So you wonder why he gets the devotion he does when no one really believes in Buddhism. How is it he can have that devotion? Yeah. It's because of the psychic astral delusion of fame and glory he projects out into the world. Yeah. Just like if he was to go into the world and do what he did before, he would kill everybody before he'd get to the town. He'd rape all the women, and then people in other villages nearby would hear about it. And then when they got to those villages, they were all standing there ready to hand him anything they wanted. And that's how it happened. Yeah. Hundreds, if not millions of people, all over Europe, all over Asia, all over, were taken over by this guy. Yeah. It was the worst experience in humanity, was that process. And that process reincarnates his intention. His family, his brother, his father, they all killed each other in order to have that position of evil so that they can go out into the world and do what they did. If you study it, you'd be amazed. And if you come to find out, that is who the Dalai Lama is. Because everybody reincarnates, and then who he is. He's the reincarnation of that. So that's bad karma. And that's why people think he's the Dalai Lama. Yeah? Because he's putting lies into us, instilling lies into us, making us think that it is one way, but it's not. Yeah? Imagine he goes through all he does and he gets the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah? Where did that man do anything that brought about peace? Yeah? And in less than 3 years after that, he brought more pain and suffering into the people's lives of Tibet by creating a ban against dorje chungden. And yet, he got the Nobel Peace Prize. He turned on all the people of Tibet, and 1.5 million people were killed so that he could leave Tibet safely. Just so he can leave Tibet safely. He allowed all those people, a whole war, to come down on them because he knew that would happen. He knew he could have kept it from happening. But instead, he allowed all those people to have that happen. And you could see it, if you study anything of Tibetan Buddhism, it is really the true history of what went down. So it's really important we close this book. We end this book. This is all written by dark forces, all written by greedy people, all written, and there are numbers of them, large numbers of them. It's only 2%, but 2% of all the people on earth is a large group of people. Really large. And it takes this influence for me to step into Tibetan Buddhism, work with the people who have the power, the dralas, the influence of the Buddhas, to influence the incarnation of all manifestation on earth and change the tide and move us into a new age by the will of Buddha. Not by the will of the sun, not by the will of the moon, but by the will of Buddha. And that's what's happening. So all these pujas that we do, it's important that we understand this Dharma teaching, because I keep repeating it. I repeat it a lot. But it's so important that you clearly understand that everything you do that takes you into Buddhism, that takes you into cleansing yourself, that takes you into letting go of your immaturity, your emotions, and your process of being interested in things you don't need to be interested in. Being able to clarify that and bring yourself into the Dharma. The Dharma exists. It exists. And it is your destiny. Anything other than Dharma is not your destiny. It is manifest destiny. And very bad karma comes out of that. Very bad karma. All your weird ass deaths, all the way that you can die in so many strange ways. Very bad karma. Very bad karma. We should be in a much different scenario to when we die, we are old and we fall asleep and we die. That's nature. That's normal. And that's a lot of people go that way. And it's not abnormal. It's not a process to where we have to live this life the way we're living this life. It's there because of bad karma. And you're not the bad karma. You need to practice as a practitioner, understanding that Buddhism goes directly, it's like Buddha up against Mara. It is a very powerful stance. It's kung fu, martial arts, it's everything you could possibly ever imagine. That's what Buddha's doing. And pulling this in this process, I need the minds of humanity to not fall into their devotion and their ideal and their loyalty to the devil. When I say I can help you with your curse and you're going to stop your commitments with your agreements with Satan and all that, you need to know where your focus is at. You need to know that this is where Satan sits, and cut it off. Be aware of it. Don't pull that shit in on you. If you're going to practice Buddhism, remember it's the 7 rays. Remember it's the soul. Remember it's about glamour. Remember none of that is taught in Tibetan Buddhism. None of it. And you only get it from the teacher Buddha Maitreya. Dalai Lama won't give you those teachings. The only other person I know who is going to give those teachings is Logan Tuku. He's the one who's studying the rays. He's the one who's really focused in better understanding of sacred geomancy and what Buddha is really all about. He's one of the closest disciples to me, and he's carrying out everything. And that really closes the door, because this is a person who was there with Tsongkhapa. He was there with Buddha. He was there with all the Karmapas. He was one of the original Karmapas. He is an incarnation of the Karmapa. So that influence inside the hierarchy is there to bring teachers out that can begin teaching Buddhism. Not the bullshit, that comes with a lack of understanding of Buddha. Because when you have a lack of understanding of Buddha, all the teachings of Buddha gets misinterpreted. And you get these false teachers They claim to know the teachings of Buddha, and they give all these bullshit answers about things that are quickening. Oh yeah, you can get enlightened this way, or real fast this way, or this is a diamond path, or we're gonna Mahayana path, or we're gonna go and these are the quickest ways. None of that is true. None of it's true. It's always a direct relationship to the Buddha in a state of transmission. Yeah, and we have to have faith that the Buddha does reincarnate. Don't listen to that fucking Dalai Lama. Yeah? This world would not be of any similarity to spirituality if the Buddha didn't reincarnate. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we have proof of many reincarnations in the lineage of all the reincarnations that Buddha reincarnates. Whether it's Padmasambhava, or as Manjushri, or as Milarepa, all these different incarnations, and they're there. And that's in a state of truth, in a state of fact. So if you go into this Buddhism that I'm bringing out, you go into a fluid. Now imagine that there's a consciousness that goes with the truth of life, where life existed, but the hierarchy was there, slowly but surely dwindling away the astral plane. Yeah? And now we're in this age. And we're here in order to benefit from all that we did back there. Yeah? So those lineages is what brings it to us. The tukus, the reincarnation, the furthering of this process. Yeah? So, let's pray. We're going to do the Chinrizi Puja after this. Okay, just repeat after me. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad. To guide me into the right activity in the plan. To clarify and stimulate my mind. To transform and transmute my feelings and emotions. To energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body. So there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body. Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One. All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
this moment until the heart of enlightenment is reached. I and all sentient beings as limitless as the sky go for refuge to all the glorious holy Lamas. We go for refuge to all the yidams, the deities gathered in the mandalas. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all the supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. We go for refuge to all the Dakas, Dakinis, protectors and defenders of the Dharma, who possess the eye of transcending awareness. We go for refuge to all the glorious holy Lamas. We go for refuge to all the yidams, the deities who gather in the mandalas. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all the supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. We go for refuge to all the Dakas, Dakinis, protectors and defenders of the Dharma who possess the eye of transcending awareness. We go for refuge to all the glorious holy Lamas. We go for refuge to all the yidams, the deities gathered in the mandalas. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who have conquered and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all the supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. We go for refuge to all the Dakas, Dakinis, protectors, and defenders of the Dharma, who possess the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddhas, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained by gifts and so on, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained by gifts and so on, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. To the Buddhas, the Dharma, the Supreme Assembly, I go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained by gifts and so on, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all beings. On the crown of my head, and all sentient beings pervading space, there rests a white lotus and a moon seed. From Hri appears the noble, all-seeing one, white, bright, and radiating 5 colored light rays, smiling charmingly and gazing with eyes of compassion. He has 4 arms, the upper 2 joined together, the lower 2 holding a white lotus and crystal rosary. He is adorned by precious jewels and silks. A deerskin covers his upper left shoulder. The Buddha, a boundless light, adorns his head. He sits in the Vajrasana. His back is supported by a stainless moon. He is the essence of all sources of refuge. Lord, whose white body is not clothed by fault, whose head is adorned by a perfect Buddha, who looks upon all beings with eyes of compassion. To you, Chenrezi, I pay homage. Lord, whose white body is not clothed by fault, whose head is adorned by a perfect Buddha, who looks upon all beings with eyes of compassion. To you, Chenrezi, I pay homage. Lord, whose white body is not clothed by fault, whose head is adorned by a perfect Buddha, who looks upon all beings with eyes of compassion. To you, Chenrezi, I pay homage. To the Sublime One, the mighty Chenrezi, to the Buddhas and their sons, who reside in the 10 directions and the 3 times, with complete sincerity I pay homage. I offer flowers, incense, butter lamps, perfume, food, music, and other real and imaginary offerings, and so on, and beseech the noble assembly to accept them. I confess all the unskillful actions caused by the power of conflicting emotions, and the 10 unvirtuous deeds, and the 5 sins of limitless consequence done from beginningless time until now. I rejoice in the spiritual merit of whatever virtue of the Svarvakas, Pratrika Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and ordinary beings gathered throughout the 3 times. I pray that the Dharma wheel of the Mahayana, the Hinayana, and of the teachings common to both be turned in accordance with the wishes and the aptitudes of all beings. I beseech the Buddhas not to pass into nirvana, as long as samsara is not emptied, but to look with compassion upon sentient beings who wallow in the ocean of suffering. May whatever merit I have accumulated be the cause for the enlightenment of all beings. May I quickly become a splendid leader of beings. I pray to you, Lama Chenrezi. I pray to you, Yidam Chenrezi. I pray to you, perfect noble Chenrezi. I pray to you, Lord, protector Chenrezi. I pray to you, Lord of love, Chenrezi. Great, compassionate victor, please hold us with your compassion. Numberless beings who wander in endless samsara experience unbearable suffering. There is no other refuge than you, protector. Please bestow the blessings to obtain omniscient Buddhahood. By our power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings through the force of anger are born as hell beings and experience the suffer of heat and cold. May they all be born in your presence, perfect deity. By the power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings, through the force of greed, are born in the realms of the Pretas and experience the suffering of hunger and thirst. May they all be born in your perfect realm, the Potala. By the power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings, through the force of stupidity, are born as animals and experience the suffering of dullness and stupidity. May they all be born in your presence, the protector. Om Mani Padme By the power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings, through the force of desire, are born in the human realm and experience the suffering of excessive activity and constant frustration. May they all be born in the pure land of Dewachan. Om Mani Padme By the power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings, through the force of jealousy, are born in the realm of the demigods and experience the suffering of fighting and quarreling. May they all be born in your realm, the Potala. By the power of accumulating negative karma from beginningless time, sentient beings, through the force of pride, are born in the realm of the gods and experience the suffering of change and falling. May they all be born in your realm, the Potala. Wherever I am born, may my deeds, by equaling Chenrez's, liberate all beings from impure realms, and spread the perfect sound of the 6 syllables in the 10 directions. Through the power of praying to you, perfect noble one, may all beings who I am to discipline pay the greatest attention to action and result, and diligently practice virtue and the Dharma for the benefit of all beings. Through this one-pointed prayer, light radiates from the body of the Sublime One and purifies the impure karma, impure appearances, and the deluded mind. The outer realm is the pure land of Dewachyen, and the body, the speech, the mind of the beings therein are the perfect form, the sublime speech, and the pure mind of mighty Chenrezi, the invisible union of appearance, sound, and vivid intelligence with voidness. My body, the bodies of others, and all appearances are the perfect form of the Sublime One. All sounds the melody of the 6 syllables. All thoughts the vastness of the great Shana. Through this virtue, may I quickly achieve the realization of mighty Chenrezi. May I bring every single being to that same state of being. Through the merit of reciting and meditating, may I and every being to whom I am connected, when these imperfect forms are left behind, be miraculously born in Dewachyen. And may I then immediately cross the 10 levels and send out the emanations in the 10 directions for the benefit of all others. Through this virtue, may all beings perfect the accumulations of spiritual merit and awareness. May they attain the 2 supreme bodies, which arise from merit and awareness. Bodhicitta is precious. May it arise in those who have cultivated it, and in those who have cultivated it, may it not diminish. May it ever grow, and may it ever flourish.
Okay, just relax. Keep your eyes closed for a little bit. That's called the Melodious drum song. Okay, you can open your eyes. If you study the teachings of Dorje Gendun, he's famous for drumming. Yeah. So, enjoy, please. Thank you very much for attending.